Northern California's hills are best known for their vineyards, but settled amongst them you'll find Sonoma Raceway, a 12-turn, 2.5-mile roller coaster ride that's been challenging road racing's best since the late 1960s. Today marks the start of a new Pirelli GT4 America season, and a full-bodied field of 31 GT4 cars are here, ready to take on that challenge. My name's Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. We'll have Amanda Busick down in the pit lane. Beautiful setting for the start of a new season, and it's also beautiful weather conditions. It has been all week long, Cal, in the build-up to today's race.
Yeah, just amazing to come back to Sonoma Raceway. Just the perfect setting to start the season. The weather's been absolutely brilliant since the moment we jumped off the plane, Ryan, and looking forward to the weekend and the season getting going.
The apprehension at the outset of a brand new season. It's been 5 months since the last race of 2025. That was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway last October. They've all been building toward this. And it's a great place to do it as well, because this track is simply fantastic. It's become the customary start to the season, Calvin. Tell us about this amazingly challenging place.
Yeah, just a beautiful rhythm of asphalt here, Ryan, set in the Sonoma Valley. It's just over 2.5 miles in length with 12 corners. Very challenging with about 160 feet of elevation change, some blind brows between turn 2 and when you get to the carousel, which is turn 6 there on the track. Relatively high grip, which makes it really a fun circuit to drive. But it's got a nice blend of both high and low speed turns. Takes a lot of commitment here to get a really fast lap, and it keeps the drivers right on their toes, balancing that risk versus reward factor here.
That is the tough balance to strike, the tightrope that the drivers will be walking for the next 60 minutes or so when we get this season underway. It's a star-packed grid in so many different ways. Let's hear from one of the most anticipated newcomers now on the grid.
Hey guys, and we talk about how vibrant it is here in Sonoma this weekend. Just to give a quick update, I did just hear from our official from SRO. These cars are being fired in 3 minutes, but we talk about announcements in the off-season. There was an announcement in this paddock that was so big that national media picked it up. That is the arrival of American actor Frankie Muniz to the paddock. And Frankie, what I love talking to other drivers is they say just what a normal dude you are. Who is Frankie Muniz as a race car driver?
Oh man, I'm still trying to figure that out. You know, I take this so seriously. I'm so grateful to Ford Racing for giving me the opportunity, to race in the NASCAR Truck Series, but also here in GT4 America. You know, my first time in the car was this weekend. You know what I mean? It is so incredible, the car. I've never experienced anything like it, and I'm loving it. Can't wait to get in for the race and see what it's all about.
I was talking to you and your co-driver Tyler Stone yesterday, and you already feel ahead of the curve coming into this weekend. What would be success like here in Sonoma?
I mean, really, we came in, we didn't get to test this off season. We turned it on for the first time the morning of the test 2 days ago. So just finishing all the laps, just, learning as a team what the car needs, what we need. So I showed up thinking we're really just gonna honestly just try to learn. But then we were we're actually semi-competitive. For my first time in the series, my first time at this track, I feel like we could actually do something. It excites me for the rest of the year because we're only gonna get better. I'm excited. So, try not to have expectations, but no, you want to be competitive. We want to be on the podium 100%,
Frankie and Tyler are racing in the AM category this season. They have qualified 6 here today. I hear these engines are about to fire down here, guys. It's almost go time.
Can't wait, and welcome to Frankie as well. His passion for motorsport, it's well documented. He's been racing since he was in the old Toyota Pro Celebrity race in Long Beach.
I interviewed him that day when he stood on the podium there, so it's a long time ago now.
And then went on to race single-seaters for a while. He's had a nice career racing stock cars in ARCA and the Truck Series, but he's going to prioritize his racing in Pirelli GT4 America this year when it does conflict with the Truck Series. Great to have that level of star power, not just racing star power, but of the small and the big screen as well.
Yeah, very much so. He's got so much passion, as you could tell in the interview with Amanda. He absolutely loves this sport, and as you said, he's prioritizing this. So Ford have been behind him now for 3 or 4 years, so it's great to see him get this opportunity in SRO for this season.
Ford massively supporting their road racing program. So too for Toyota. We've had the Toyota GR Cup racing in SRO America the last couple of years, and a few past champions teaming up together once again, with Weston Workman qualifying his car on pole position. First season racing GT4 cars. He's done a few races in another series already this year, and he's been on the pole for every single race, although this one, it took a little bit of help to get there because the Jonathan Neudorf Advanced Motorsports car that had qualified on pole position was sent to the back of the class.
Yeah, but even so, it's just a testimony of the skill that Weston has. Just a tremendous season last year. We're winning GR Cup. He's teamed up with the 2023 champ?
Yes.
Yeah, in Tyler Gonzalez. So when you look at the field and you look at the entry list, I mean, it is absolutely stacked top to bottom, and they're certainly a duo to look out for in terms of championship potential and starting off on the right footing here today.
And in years past, you might have had one class that stood above the others in terms of the competition level. Not so this year. It's really evenly spread across three classes, Silver, Pro-Am, and Am.
Yeah, and that's what's going to make it exciting. And you also have that crossover, that dynamic where you're battling for an overall position, but it is not for class, but you still want to move your car up. So that's what makes the racing so exciting here in Pirelli GT4 America.
31 cars rolling out on track to start a brand new season. This place will challenge all of them with 15 stories of elevation change from high point to low point here at this circuit. Calvin, you've talked in the past about coming and driving here and this being one of the more difficult tracks to try and get into a rhythm.
Yeah, it's really challenging. I always find with elevation change where you've got these blind brows, you've got to position the car without really seeing the racetrack, makes it super, super difficult.
Let's head down to the grid one more time with Amanda.
And this was quite a delight. I saw Bill Oberlin hanging out with the Catania father and son duo at Rigid Speed. They're going to race almost a full season, but brought in the big brass. What's it like working with the Catanias?
Awesome. Okay, so SRO, what's so cool about it is you got the crazy super guys up front with big resource, or you have grassroots, and that's what these guys are. They love racing. They got a BMW GT4, which is running like a top. They just brought me in to help out with setup, maybe put a datum lap down. But that just shows that anybody can be an SRO having a great time. So come on over and start racing. It's fun.
Thank you, Bill. We'll miss you in World Challenge.
Oh, me too.
Such a passionate racer. Great to have him here on site as well. Let's look at who will start on pole here today. It's Weston Workman overall and in the silver class. Then it's the Dome Motorsport driver, Alan Patton, his debut with the team. He'll start on the Pro-Am pole, and in Am, Alex Garcia. ACI Motorsports, new team for the brothers Garcia in 2026. Super competitive field. Everyone bunched together here as we get ready for the start in just a few corners' time. This is the starting grid. It's Workman on the overall pole position. Josh Green, a champion a year ago, starts alongside. Kevin Boehm also won a championship last year. New team for him. Yves Baltas alongside. Then it's Alan Patton and Luca Mars. Back to row 4. That's where you find Sam Craven and Alex Garcia. 5th row, James Walker Jr. and the returning Matt Travis. Row number 6 to Tony Gaples and Black Dog Racing and newcomer Jonathan Perichon. Carl Foreman for Precision Racing LA starts next to Judson Holt in row 7. Row 8 belongs to Chris Spada and Laura Hayes. Row 9 to Lottie Unser and Demir Hott. Row 10, Zachary Lee for the new McCumbee McAleer team. Welcome them to the championship next to Casey Moyer. Then Michael Petramalo and Sam Owen, Jack Perriott and Jonathan Neudorf. Tyler Stone and Tom Kopchitsky starting in row 13. Roland Grimes, Joseph Catania, row 14. Kevin Clifford and Ross Poole. And out back, Zach Lumsden for Flying Lizard. And that is the field of 31. Looks like there will be a second formation lap. The clock has started because only one formation lap was originally scheduled. So we'll have one more lap for everyone to get their tires up to temperature, get prepped, get focused in on the start of a new season.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you need to warm them up anymore because they were trying to get that done on that one lap that was prescribed. So a little bit of extra time here to just get into a rhythm. Not sure what the reason is for the delay and starting the clock, but obviously under full course yellow situation here. And for Weston Workman, he's going to have to try and get the jump here. He's got BMW on his outside, Josh Green. He had a really great qualifying run. Kevin Boehm's right in the mix as well, of course. Coming off a championship season here in Kenton Cook for Random Vandals, but he switched team over to Auto Technique. It was relatively late change. They're trying to put together a GT3 program for 2026. Didn't quite get it across the line, but nonetheless, Kevin Boehm going for another championship would have to feel alongside Francis Seldorf this year.
Report from race control, debris on the track. That's what led to one additional lap behind the safety car, but as mentioned, only one formation lap was planned on. Therefore, the clock has started, counting down from 60 minutes. If you're new to Pirelli GT4 America, these are short, sharp races, 1 hour in length, but there is a pit stop mandated. Really, no longer do you have to worry about a prescribed pit stop window. Instead, you're working around maximum drive time rules. That's 35 minutes. So de facto, when you don't count the time running through the pit lane towards your drive time, with 23 and a half minutes in, we should be at a point where the pits effectively open for those that would like to partake in some of those strategy
here,
calls.
Josh Green was supposed to start from the front row, and there you see him at the back of the pack. So I'm not sure if he didn't go off the grid in time, where you have to start from the back, whether he had a moment on the formation lap, which we didn't quite catch. But either way, he's at the tail end of this field, having set was the third fastest time in qualifying, which became a front row starter with the problem for our pole sitter.
Tough break for the reigning Pro-Am champion alongside Sam Craven a year ago. The pair of them won 5 races, including the second race of the doubleheader here in Sonoma last season. But he'll have his work cut out for him coming from the back of the pack. Lights out on the safety car, which should dive to the pit lane just off to the left, top of the screen. And then we'll be ready to officially get the green flag out for the start of the 2026 season. Weston Workman in the Toyota Supra. Rafa Racing, the team, will have, it appears, the front row to himself. Then it's Kevin Boehm and Yves Baltus back in row number 2. Alan Patton in the Mercedes for Dome Motorsport and Luca Mars, Sam Craven, Alex Garcia, James Walker Jr., Matt Travis, Tony Gaples, the top 10 as we await the green flag. There it is. To get the season underway, Michael Schmidt, COO of Television, has the best view of the house as the field roars up the hill to turn 1 for the first time.
Yeah, and that made it relatively easy there for Weston Workman, our pole sitter, to get the jump there as they climb the hill. Very tricky opening couple of corners here. Is blind, and when you're in traffic like this, you literally are not seeing the road whatsoever as you crest that hill there, plunge down the hill. Awesome piece of racetrack there into turn 4.
Travis, the man on the move early on. Problems here for Alan Patton, who's off track. A BMW off track at the top of the hill as well. The rest of the field continues on. But 2 cars at least in strife here in the early going, and a door has come off, I think. Certainly some bodywork has come off of a BMW. It is the right side door.
Yeah, there must have been a compression of the traffic there. I said it's so easy, so hard to see there coming over the crest of the hill. You can see the damage there to the left front corner. Looked like he'd broken a tie rod or something. Got no steering ability in that Mercedes. Up front, Kevin Boehm immediately putting the heat on Weston Workman, trying to pick up where he left off last year, winning a bundle of races on his way to another title.
It was the 3rd championship in the SRO career of Kevin Boehm, but it was his first at the GT4 level. They'd been close a couple of times in previous years, got it done in decisive fashion in 2025, and he's taken advantage of misfortune for others here at the start, jumping up to 2nd and immediately putting pressure on the rookie, Weston Workman. He's been in plenty of tight battles before, going back to his days in GR Cup, but this is a step up.
There we see the damage there, some debris on the racetrack. We'll see if we stay green here, but yeah, Weston Workman had to be very defensive there on his line down at the brake zone for turn 9, that tight little chicane there. You see the door missing. It's a warm day, it's going to be a little bit breezy in there, but could affect the aerodynamics, the air getting to that rear spoiler as well.
And Calvin, that's the leading car in the AM class. James Walker Jr. paired up with James Clay, team boss at Bimmerworld Racing here this year. It's James Walker Jr. behind the wheel right now, shown 8th overall, but leading in the AM class. However, without the right side door, and we go full course yellow with 54 minutes, 37 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, I think that debris could be right there as you crest the hill. You see it over to the right-hand side and more to the left. It's like light blue maybe coming from that Mercedes of Alan Patton.
Yeah, Patton and Garcia, that was the other car we were wondering about, the red BMW that was off the pace at the top of the hill. That was Alex Garcia, pole-sitting car in the AM class that is shown as stopped on track. Tony Gaples also has had problems on the opening lap and is in the pit lane.
Wow, Black Dog coming off a victory here in round 1 last season.
This is the end of the incident. Alan Patton now with Dome Motorsport this year, drove for Thunder Bunny a year ago, paired up with Mark Miller, which I think could be a pretty potent pairing, but a difficult way to get the season started.
Yeah, and it's cool that Laura Hayes, who co-drove with Patton last year, has got the late call-up to be in the sister car with Eddie Colleen, so She's actually supported by Alan Parton's wife, who has a really successful jewelry business called O-R-E. And there we see the damage to the Black Dog Speed Shop machine, and they've had so much success here over the years as a group.
This is the door coming off. Just behind is Tony Gaples, actually. He was already off the pace, and then, yeah, I think that was Judson Holt? Yes, that ran over that door. To wonder if that car sustained any damage. Judson Holt, Eddie Stripling coming over, joining Random Vandals Racing this year. After driving for Fast Track last year, shown 9th overall, 2nd in class. That's the yellow BMW coming through the shot a moment ago.
So again, we're not quite sure what created the initial contact with the dome machine, but you know, it's just so hard to navigate through those first few corners, Ryan. We talked about it before they really got there, in terms of it's so hard to see when you're driving by yourself, let alone with the car immediately in front of you. If there's a little compression, little concertina effect, and suddenly you're just caught out by that when you can't see where the road is going.
Judson Holt might have gotten away with that. Tagged that door, which broke into 1,000 pieces, but I don't see any damage at the front of the BMW.
Do not, which is great news for them. They're a really potent driver pairing, as you said, making a move this year. 36 car there, James Walker Jr. still holds down the lead in the AM class. Staying with Bimmerwald, but moving over to James Clay, who's had another great championship run with Charlie Postons. Charlie was here yesterday. I think he's still here today. I think he's going to watch this race today and then head home, but he's said he's retired, but we'll see how much he misses it, whether he'll come back. But with that retirement, let's call it, James has shuffled the deck a little bit and brought James Walker Jr. into that AM machine, and Tyler McQuarrie's got a new teammate over in Pro-Am.
Charlie left the door cracked open when I was chatting with him. He said that James is the one that keeps throwing the retirement word out there. So he disputes the retirement term, but at the moment, no plans to go racing, but hope to lure him back at one point or another. What a great pairing they've been in the AM class for many, many years now. I do wonder about this, though, Cal. That car without the door, is that permissible to continue? Or is that something race control would take a look at?
I think it'll be okay. I don't think there's any real requiring side view mirrors and stuff like that, so I think we'll be okay.
Well, they'll certainly hope so, given the way they've been able to get off to a good start. Amanda's been doing some checking around for us down pit side, and her indications from talking to a few of the teams are that maybe this 94 Sam Craven-driven car could have been involved in the coming together at the top of the hill. That is the current leader in the Pro-Am class, also out of the Random Vandals stable. But that is just the reports that we're getting from the teams down in the pits. Right now, the cleanup continues with all that debris that's been scattered from the door that came off of the James Walker Jr. car. I think we've got maybe another peek at what transpired on the first green flag lap of the race. Let's see if we can make anything out of this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Random Vandals machine got in at the side of the dome Mercedes and just turned him there.
Yep, that was Craven into Patton, and Garcia got caught up in it as well. And it looks like both Mercedes and BMW were unable to continue on, picking up some suspension damage from that contact.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was the initial hit. Sometimes when you're trying to correct, you got the tire and the wheel kind of outside of the fender, can suddenly get clipped, and those tie rods, suspension arms, are very vulnerable to being hit, and particularly in the wrong direction. They're not designed to really operate in that way.
How frustrating is it, all the work that goes into the off-season? You're all geared up, amped up to go racing for the first time in 5 months, and it's over before even a green flag lap is completed.
I often sit and think about the tentacles from a racing paddock, and we're all started from the various race shops around the country, and the travel and the orchestration of all the parts and pieces to suddenly be here, and you've got this big culmination of that energy getting ready for the start of a season with the green flag, and within 30, 40 seconds there's a problem.
Such frustration for those involved. The good news is the cleanup has completed, so the lights now extinguished on the Toyota GR Supra safety car. And that means we are about to go back to green flag racing once again with Weston Workman showing the way, but Kevin Boehm was starting to look threatening before the yellow came out.
He certainly was, and looking at the clock, we're only about 12 minutes away from when that window opens where you can get your other driver in. You got to be on pit lane for 90 seconds minimum, and then the second driver is only allowed to do a 35-minute stint. So with the new regulations, it was only driver one who qualified, so that would be your AM and a Pro-Am lineup. So they'll be anxious to get that pro involved, so they'll be making those early pit stops. For others, they may go a little deeper into what is essentially like a 10, 12-minute window.
I think we have a quick chance to dip down to the pits and get an update from Amanda before we go back green.
And all three of those BMWs touched in the first part of this race. You said all random and so very weird. Let's start with Josh Green and what happened on that opening the formation lap.
Yeah, during the formation lap, he evidently ran over some debris and saw that the right rear was going down. So we're lucky it happened then, at least. We were able to catch up to the back of the pack, and, he's already starting to move forward. But, what do you do? And then we ran over the door with the 188, ran over the door that flew off. So that's thankfully seems to be okay on the tire. And then we're under investigation on the contact, and we didn't see any video. We don't know what happened there. So we'll just let the stewards take care of that and see what happened.
Thank you, Paul. To put a little positive spin on it, guys, I did hear that with that 188 of Judson and Denny joining the team, they did say that BMW should be good.
Appreciate that, Amanda. And evidently there was a little bit more to clean up. So we'll have at least one more lap under full course yellow here. But good to get to the bottom of what happened to Josh Green. That sure was puzzling, seeing him drop to the back, but really heads up from the young driver to recognize there was something amiss and get that taken care of. Now they have a chance to recover.
I'm not sure, clarification, did he actually come to pit lane, get another tire on then, or what? Because he was back, by the time we caught sight of where he was, he'd caught the pack back up again. So I'm not sure if he just dived in, they threw a tire at it, and he was already back with the pack.
I'll try and get to the bottom of that. That's a good question. Top four all belong to cars from the silver class. By rule, must contain two drivers with an FIA silver grading. Pro-Am holds positions 5, 6, and 7. You can tell on the timing and scoring pylon if they have the silver background behind the number. That's a silver class car. Black background with white numerals is Pro-Am, and then the white numerals on a red field is the Am class. The leader in Am right now, James Walker Jr., holding 8th overall. And it's worth noting too, these are all SRO GT4 homologated cars. No difference in the classes in terms of the machinery used. It's just about the experience level of the driver lineups. And it is not a surprise to see all three classes represented inside the top 10. That is a familiar sight in GT4 America Racing. From on board, Sam Craven in the 94. Whoa, you can hear the contact more than you can see it.
Yeah, a little surprised at that because, yeah, there was an opening there, but you're basically in no man's land. It's really difficult for that car to the right-hand side, Alan Patton, to navigate that corner without some contact there. So I think there's just a little bit difference in acceleration off of turn 2. And Craven had the run there and kind of got his nose where it really didn't need to be this early in the race and in the season, for that matter.
Had a great year last year, winning the Am Class Championship with Josh Green. Teamed up this year with Kenton Cook. Figure to be front runners in Pro-Am once again. Still waiting to see if we'll go back green. And we have safety vehicles still on the track, so it looks like we'll have at least one more lap while that's dealt with.
And then we're going to be getting really close to that pit stop window opening, which, as you look at the clock, is showing minutes left in this race. When you get to 36:30, you could peel into pit lane at that point, and then suffice the 90-second minimum stop time, and then not be outside 35 minutes max for your second driver.
We're doing safety car laps at just over 3 minutes. Oh yeah, we are inching closer to that. By the way, mentioned if you're new to Pirelli GT4 America, here are some of the rules to keep in mind. It's a 60-minute race. Your maximum stint length for a single driver, 35 minutes. That's going to dictate a lot of the pit strategy. No refueling, no tire changes unless you have a puncture. And the time spent in the pit lane from pit in to pit out, including the driver changes, a minimum of 90 seconds.
Yeah, and that max stint time could mean you could stay out. As long as you're on pit lane, that would then stop the drive time at that point. So there'll be some teams who will strategize and try and keep their current driver in as long as possible as well, potentially. Particularly with this compression, do you know what I mean? With the field being behind the yellow, and they're not going to get stretched out too much in the next 2 or 3 laps by the time that window opens.
Now we have the chance behind the safety car. Let's get more on the Black Dog story. Amanda has caught up with one of the drivers, Michael Cooper.
Michael, yeah, if you could just give us an update of what's happening on the race car, but more importantly, with the new qualifying, you got to get a lap in this thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do here. Tony got hit on the first lap, got a flat tire, and really knocked the alignment out. And so we've come in twice now just to try and adjust it so the car's drivable in the second half of the race, so I can get a lap time for set the grid for tomorrow. Our finishing position here today doesn't really matter too much. We just want to have something to fight with tomorrow in a good grid spot.
Based on what Tony is saying, what are your expectations for your effort?
I don't have many expectations now. Let's see when I get in the car if it's all right, and the lap time will dictate that.
He is the third winningest driver in this paddock, so we know you can do something.
Yeah, we gotta look at those stats and see how many more till I'm the winningest, because that's definitely a goal.
Peter Cunningham is on site listening somewhere.
And they're good mates, but getting back to their success with Michael Cooper and Black Dog Speed Shop, the team has had 8 victories here. Michael's had 9, 6 with this group. So, and one of those included race 1 here last year. So, really fast group. Had a couple of bad races that really took them out of championship contention, but a really solid year, finishing P3. Finished off the season with a couple of victories at Indy as well.
And as Michael alluded to, and I think we've mentioned it before as well, oh, somebody diving for the pit lane here already. That's James Walker Jr., car that's missing the door. But only one qualifying session this year for GT4 America. Grid for race 2 is set by driver 2's best lap in race 1. So that's why they need to get that car repaired and get Michael on track to try and at least get some kind of representative starting position for race 2 tomorrow. Back to green at Sonoma, it's Weston Workman, reigning Toyota GR Cup North America champion, leading the field up the hill. Nipping at his heels is Kevin Boehm. Yves Baltas, newcomer to the championship, runs in third. Then Luca Mars is not too far behind for RS1.
Kevin said after qualifying, he said, we don't have a great single lap pace car, but we should be good in the race. But I tell you what, his car seems to be coming alive a little bit quicker than our Pulsar, the Supra there. So I'm not sure whether the Rafa Racing team went a little bit conservative, lower starting tire pressures. So the pressures would come back to Weston here and get his car in the sweet spot, both on the initial start. And right now you can see that Boehm was all over him.
Yeah, looking really threatening here in the early going on this restart. Also seeing Sam Craven start to put some pressure on Luca Mars. That's the Pro-Am leader, working on 4th place overall and 4th in the silver class. A little further back, it's the orange and purple BMW. That's the newcomer Jonathan Parashon, working on a multi-time series champion, Matt Travis. That's for 2nd in class.
Yeah, I met Parashon the other day, working with Gregory Leafouge. This is his local track. He's got thousands of laps around here. Is running a similar BMW, so this should be a good fit for him.
Running as much of the schedule this year as Jonathan's schedule allows, and carrying the Racing to End Alzheimer's colors on that car for Stephen Cameron Racing. Now, top 2 starting to pull away with Workman towing Kevin Boehm around. Yves Baltas trying to close in, and here is a drive-through penalty to the leader in the Pro-Am class. Sam Craven dives into the pits for the contact on the first green flag lap.
Yeah, incident responsibility for that clip with the Mercedes there heading up into turn 3. So that's going to throw him down the order a bit, cost you about 45 seconds to drive down pit lane, probably about a 35-second delta.
I also saw James Walker still sitting stationary in the pits. Not sure what that's about.
I think it must be the door situation. Maybe they said you got put one on. They don't have one down in pit lane, potentially.
That's one of the teams that has its paddock space in the island, in the infield of the track. So if they didn't have that spare door sitting in the pits with them, it's a bit of a hike to go and recover that. Craven has done his drive-through now, and let's get more from the pits with Amanda.
Ryan, it's exactly that. I was just talking to James Clay, and I said, oh, you guys are on the island, and he gave me a little bit of a nod. So, yes, they're going to have to run underneath the tunnel that's at the end of pit out over to where their hauler is parked, grab that door, come back. An NHRA official did bring them in. Can't race on this racetrack without that right-hand door.
I wondered if the SRO staff would look at that and think that that might be potentially a safety issue. In any event, that's what's been ruled upon, and they'll have to try and get repairs taken care of in the pit lane.
We briefly saw Jonathan Neudorf there in the 131 machine, really cutting his way back through this field. He had the fastest time in qualifying, had a data logger that was not operational, so that put him to the back of the silver class field, but he's cutting some moves. He was up to 6th overall, but 5th in class.
Doing a great job, all things considered. He was put to the back of his class, which was 24th overall. Now he finds himself 6th overall and has come through a few of the silver class cars. So a remarkable start for Neudorf and the new team to the championship, Advanced Motorsports. There he is.
There's another position, I think.
Yep, that was around Matt Travis. So he's now at the tail of the top 4 in class. Remarkable comeback drive from the Canadian. We've seen him the last couple of years driving for a different brand, but quick study here with the McLaren.
Yeah, new fastest lap of the race, 144.1, about 4/10 quicker than Weston Workman, who still leads this race by about 7/10 over Kevin Boehm.
Look at him here. Closing in on the top 4. Last year finished runner-up in the TC America Championship, was doing a double program, also raced in GT4 America for the JMF Motorsports team, which is focusing on GT3 and TC this year, not represented in Pirelli GT4 America. So put this deal together, and right now repaying the Advanced Motorsports team with a great run after the miscue in qualifying.
Boy, did he and that Toyota come alive in the TC ranks last year. Ended up with 6 wins, you said P2 in the championship. He won the last 5 races of the year, so talk about momentum, and then makes this full-time switch now to GT4.
Got a glimpse a moment ago of Matt Travis, leader in Pro-Am. That's the Nola Sport Porsche, top of the shot, but front of the field, Weston Workman. This time last year, the narrative about Weston is he can get podiums. Can he break through and get a win?
Here he comes. That pit lane window is open. Dominoes will fall.
When he did break through for his first win, Calvin, in GR Cup last year at Sebring, the floodgates just opened up, and he's not stopped winning ever since. His job, though, in his first Pirelli GT4 America race is just about done as soon as he gets that car to the team.
Yeah, and when you got a driver pairing like they have, there really is no compromise. So they can put either driver in whenever they want, and the pace is going to be almost the same. Just 2 really great young stars in our paddock today.
Interesting, though, to see what Kevin Boehm can do. You run the risk when you run long of getting caught out by a full course yellow, but it looked like he had some pace in hand, just didn't have the track position. Now he's got a clear track ahead of him. They're going to try and use that overcut to maybe grab the track position here in the pit stop shuffles.
Here we go. There we see the driver change. You said no refueling, no new tires. You can adjust the tire pressures, so if driver's feeling something, I can certainly look at that. Amanda, what are you seeing down on the pit stop?
Yeah, as we see Weston Workman get out with Tyler Gonzalez going in, I can see Kevin Conway, team manager, on his feet, also overlooking this pit stop change. But I talked to both of these guys in Arlington. GR Cup had their debut there on the streets of Arlington, and both of them high hopes on this season. But what you got to love is they both got the opportunity, both being champions in that series, now racing together.
Second year in a row that a couple of the GR Cup champions have paired up in this car for Rafa Racing. Last year it was Gresham Wagner alongside Tyler Gonzalez, who's in the car now, and they finished second in the championship, 40 points out of the championship lead when the season concluded at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and without a doubt they're thinking championship or bust this year.
Oh yeah, just we talked about how stacked this field is, and now we see Kevin Boehm hitting pit lane, I believe. Yes, it is. So just went 1 lap longer, still a slight overcut. He had cleared racetrack, so it's going to be all about that in lap compared to Gonzalez out lap in terms of who will end up in front and how close they cut it to the margin at that 90-second minimum stop time. That's from pit in to pit out, including the driver change.
After so many years with random vandals, I hope somebody from Auto Technic gets on the radio and reminds him which pit box he's supposed to pull into.
That would be easy to do, that is for sure.
Old habits die hard. Inheriting the lead here is Yves Baltas. This is ACI Motorsports. They've been in this championship for some time. Yves comes over after finishing 7th in Porsche Carrera Cup North America last year. Won a couple of races for this ACI team in Carrera Cup, which is extremely competitive, and he's teamed up with Jimmy Gibre, another graduate from Carrera Cup North America. Excited to see their progress as they adapt to this style of racing.
You see the tire pressure adjustment being made, so all of the teams will check all 4 corners, just make sure they don't have a tire that's going down, and also adjust maybe if they're getting a little bit peaky with that. But not a big green flag run here, so sometimes you can't really gauge what it's going to be like for the second phase of this race. Still 33 minutes to go.
Really good opening stint for Jonathan Parishon. That was Stephen Cameron racing.
It's going to be close. Here comes the Auto Technique car. And Gonzalez is climbing the hill right there.
This is the de facto battle for the lead of the race.
Seldorf's got to get up on the wheel really quickly here. He has experience winning races with GT4 competition. Gonzalez is racing. He's looking for a way through. Doesn't want to force it right now. He's into a rhythm immediately. Seldorf tries to protect. This is going to get tight at apex for turn 4.
Gonzalez knows this is the chance. He's in his rhythm. He's to what becomes the outside here. Can Seldorf hang it in? No. Across the bow, sweeps the Toyota Supra, and to the lead once again goes Rafa Racing, the de facto lead of the race, that is.
Tell you what, though, Francis didn't make it easy for him. He really tried to hang tough there, but he just had enough momentum to squeeze by on the outside on the run, essentially down the hill through the carousel. But Seldorf is up on the wheel. He's looking racy here. He's trying to get into his rhythm. He's 1 lap behind Tyler, who obviously they did the undercut there, or came in the first opportunity with Auto Technique, performing the overcut. Will you come in a lap later? Obviously, without a tire change, it's not such a big delta when you got a series where you're doing a tire change within that. The driver is coming out of pit lane, has to get those tires up to temperature, so that outlap is typically slower.
Battle for the lead here. Now has 1 car in between the leader. Yves Baltas and Jonathan Neudorf has cycled his way up to 2nd place from the back of the silver class on the grid. But it's Baltas, they're going to keep him out, it would appear, deep into this stint. It's one of the Rafa Racing Supras splitting the pair of them as they come by pit entrance. Will the advanced team call their McLaren in? Yes, they will.
Neudorf's in. So for Baltas, essentially, he can stay out there as long as there's 25 minutes plus on the clock when he hits pit lane. That's okay, because his drive time will stop as soon as he hits that pit entrance line. Fantastic circuit, so much fun to drive. Huge elevation change through this first half of the circuit. Climbing the hill here. Dip down a little bit on the run down at turn 3, then back up to the peak of this racetrack, which is at the apex of turn 3. I think you said it's what, 15 stories, Ryan, top to bottom?
Yes, from high point to low point. Front runner's about to catch some traffic here. If this holds them up, that could cost them relative to the others that have already made their stops. Falling back to the leader in the M class, Laura Hayes right now shows the way, and Amanda has more on her story.
Sadly, I'm going to show you the 36 BMW, the championship car last year here on pit lane. It is pulled toward the wall. James Walker Jr. out of that car. And then I'm going to take you over to a shot of James Clay, and adding insult to injury. Unfortunately, I asked him if he was going to get in this race car, and to put a door back on that BMW was going to just take too much time. I ended up telling him about qualifying, and that's how he learned that he may not have a time, or will not have a time, for the race tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, if you got 30 minutes, if they got a door somewhere in this paddock, get it on. James got to get out there, lay down a fast lap. That sets the grid for tomorrow. So a little bit of a tweak in the rules. We always had 2 qualifying sessions for driver 1, driver 2. It's only driver 1 that qualifies now, and it's the fast lap set in the second phase of this race sets the grid for tomorrow. Sometimes your frustration over a problem, the fact you look like you're out for the day, stops you from thinking about the big picture.
He's starting to settle into a rhythm here after a staccato start. Baltas still leads. The car behind has already made a stop. That's Werner Neugebauer in the other entry from the Rafa Racing team. And he's got some pace in that car. Not exactly thrilled, it would appear, to be stuck behind the race leader here. He'd love to start stretching his legs a bit, but it won't be too much longer until Baltas gets the call to the pit lane.
Yeah, we've got 6 cars that still remain out there, I believe, who have not made that mandatory stop yet. So you got to look at that clock. As I said, 25 minutes plus needs to be on that clock when you hit that stripe on a pit in. Otherwise, you're going to get a penalty.
Leader trying to work through some traffic. That's Erica Hoffman, newcomer to the series, out in front. Comes from Porsche Sprint Challenge. Opens the door up for Baltas to come through. Neugebauer tries to follow through. Tough place to coexist. This high-speed section here, great rhythm and flow, but you're really compromised if you're not single file.
You are. It's not the easiest track to pass on, but there are some opportunities down into the turn 9 chicane there, and also down into the final corner. Well, it's actually not the final, it's turn 11 here coming up. You got that little sweeper on the front stretch. Does he come in? Yes, he does. Decides to come in. He could have done one more, I think, and squeaked it, but if you have any issue on that lap, it can really bite you.
Solid qualifying effort for Eve. Had the 5th fastest time, ended up starting 3rd with problems on the grid for Josh Green, and then the penalty to Neudorf and the advanced team. So we'll see how this shuffles through. Josh Green also pitting from what was 2nd place at the time. Looks like Laura Hayes is the last car that still owes us a pit stop. Mentioned that earlier, late deal coming together for the Dome team, but she and Alan Patton, they showed really good speed last year, didn't they, in the races we saw them run with Thunder Bunny Racing?
Oh, just amazing. Got that victory, 4 podiums on top of that. The win was at Barber Motorsports Park, so it was just a brilliant season. I thought she was really the sensation of 2025. Just a lovely lady. Had a chance to meet with her the other day and go over her history, and she's just digging deep. Doesn't have the resources, but as we said earlier, she's got the backing of Alan Patton's wife, who's got that wonderful new jewelry business, and great to see her back out there as Gonzalez digging really deep here. A little bit of a lock up there with ABS on these cars. It's rare you see that, but even so, just really pushing the threshold. He's trying to make sure that he assumes the lead once everyone's completed this round of stops.
And through to the lead right there comes Tyler Gonzalez in the Supra. Not too far behind is Seldorf. Now the question is, where does Jimmy Gibre come out? Right in the middle of this battle pack. Tough spot to find yourself. Greg Liafouge blitzes on by as Jimmy gets up to speed in his first ever start in Pirelli GT4 America. Another graduate of Carrera Cup. And here comes Hayes in the nick of time with 30 seconds to spare. They timed that beautifully.
Yeah, really nicely managed there by the Derwin Motorsports Group. Got a lot of really talented and experienced crew on there.
Yeah, headed up by Kelly Brown, who's been around the paddock for quite a long time. He's the team manager. And it'll be team founder Eddie Killeen getting set to climb aboard.
And Laura said it's just great to work with Eddie. He's just such a straightforward guy, loves his racing, and got on the phone and talked about it, and he said, let's do this. Let's make it happen. So she was thrilled to get that last minute call up to be back in the paddock for this year after a stellar year in 25.
Tyler Gonzalez got the message about the fast lap here in race 1, setting the grid for race number 2. He just turned in the best lap of the race the last time by, and he's upping the ante with the new best first sector. Not perfect through the middle sector, but still quite quick. Definitely changes the dynamic of race number 1, gives it added importance to make sure you get past the halfway mark, get your second driver in the car, or else you really risk a double whammy having no track position for the second race.
Yeah, it really has a major compromise on your points, obviously. If you have that problem early and the second driver doesn't get back out there, it's hard to rebound as the depth of the field, the amount of cars, and how talented this grid is. So, and there can be a real strategy to this, Ryan. If you get bundled up in a pack, you've almost got to gap yourself from the car in front of you, feel you've got a little bit more pace to display and get that faster lap. So if you suddenly find you're stymied and you're not going anywhere, sometimes you have to play the game of just backing off a little bit, creating a little bit of a buffer there, and then driving into that to see if you can secure a faster lap before the checkered flag today.
After all the pit stops have cycled through, Denny Stripling leads in the AM class. Similar look to the car, but a new team, new home for Denny and Judson Holt with the Random Vandals team. They've got a pretty healthy advantage, sitting 12th overall, closest car to them in their class down in 18th.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really successful partnership with those two driving together again. Did one race separate last year, right? They finished slightly different in the championship, 3rd and 4th, I think it was. But I think Random Vandals is a great place for them. The team had so much success last year with 3 championships, including that GT World Challenge America Championship and 2 class championships in Pirelli GT4. So it's a great fit. I think Paul Sparta's very excited about their potential for the season.
Back to the front, and Francis Seldorf is getting into a nice rhythm now. Just did his best lap of the race at a 1:42.549, and is within a second again of race leader Tyler Gonzalez. Francis is a former IMSA GT4 champion a couple of years ago in one of its support series, and comes here to return really to Pirelli GT4 America. Ran the season a few years back. Exciting pairing for young Francis with Kevin Boehm, the reigning champion in silver.
Yeah, and he had a really big 4-hour win middle of last year that really made everyone stand up and take notice in the paddock with some of the drivers that he held off for an amazing final stint there. So I think that gained him a lot of confidence. He's made the move up in the GT3 competition as an endurance driver for this year with the SRO Motorsports Group. And he all year long, or all off-season long, he's been saying, I want to find a place in GT4. He feels he's got unfinished business there. And I think where he, Kevin Boehm, and his Auto Technique group could have a really successful season. And he's displaying a lot of prowess right now and a lot of speed in trying to chase the leader back down. You'd think that with Gonzalez and being handed over the reins from Weston Workman, that's going to be a tough one to chase down. But he's hanging tough. He's only 8 tenths behind the leader.
And inching closer with each sector. We drop further back. Find Tyler McQuarrie, another Bimmer World entry here. Tyler, given the red line car, good run, sits inside the top 10 overall, just off the podium in class with Ryan Eversley in his sights. Great to have Ryan back in the paddock racing in Pirelli GT4 America for the first time in a few years.
Oh, talk about passion for motorsport. Ryan Eversley's got it in spades, working with the Precision Racing LA group once again. I think this is his 6th year with that group. Mario Buono gives him excellent support. He feels he's got a great teammate. He said the other day, I'm so excited. Michael, his teammate, Matramalo, is only a few tenths off, less than a second anyway off my pace, and he said that's going to really bode well for the season.
So many exciting newcomers to the championship to mix it up with the returning stars. Talked about it at the offset. Just get the sense that this field is wide open in 2026.
Quick correction, Carl Foreman, of course, is Ryan's teammate. So early season, getting used to all of the driver pairings, got caught out there a little bit.
Yeah, Carl comes up from GR Cup as well. Dropping back to the battle here, these are 2 cars in different classes, but Greg Leafouge has gotten around Spencer Pumpelly. Great run here from Leafouge, and it was his new teammate, Jonathan Parishon, who got them off to such a great start in the opening stint.
Yeah, and you talk about strong driver pairings. Luca Mars and Spencer Pumpelly, you put that one down on paper and say, put a circle around that. They're going to be making waves this year, but really a testimony to Stephen Cameron Racing. This is their home circuit. Greg lives here in San Francisco, knows the track like the back of his hand, and he's cutting through this field. Going to try and chase down Mateus Lace for the lead in Pro-Am and 3rd overall.
And we have here a 30-second post-race time penalty. This has been a tough day for this car, which already had a drive-through penalty earlier for contact on the opening lap. Kenton Cook is driving now. Sam Craven started, but they ran afoul of the pit lane rules, and any ground Kenton makes up, he's going to give up 30 seconds of it no matter what, with that penalty coming their way.
Yeah, just you want to come out of the box strong, and they've seen a few of the big teams and big names have some issues here early in the season.
Well, of course, he'll have motivation to try and set that fast lap time to get a grid position for race 2 coming up tomorrow. Gonzalez and Seldorf, they're almost identical in their lap time. Seldorf just did a 42.5. That's his best lap. Compare that to a 42.6. It's basically a 1/10 of a second between Gonzalez and Seldorf, and they've been trading that 1/10 back and forth for the last 3 or 4 laps.
Slightly different approach there as you see them crest that brow over into the carousel there. Seldorf immediately has already turned. He doesn't wait to turn the car. He kind of angles it in a little bit earlier than Gonzalez did, but I just love the confidence for Francis Seldorf. He's up on the wheel early despite really not into a rhythm yet with Gonzalez coming in or getting out a lap earlier than him, but hasn't let it go. He hasn't been kind of troubled by the fact that he did lose that track position. He's kept it head down, hammer down, and has tried to chase him down. He's a little bit quicker right now.
And he knows a thing about speed and racing, not just in race cars. While he was a Boston College Eagle, he was the skipper on his sailing team. And we have seen some crossover between sailing and this paddock in the past. The problem here...
It's the 131 car, it's the pole, or the fastest car in qualifying.
Yeah. Neudorf started the car. It's yours behind the wheel right now.
It's not in a great spot there.
Nope. Something's amiss. He's got it refired, though. Is Austin going to try to rejoin?
Assuming that was a Control-Alt-Delete. Came to a momentary stop and just refired everything potentially. Stewards will be watching this one carefully. It's a really high-speed sector right there. That is not great news. They may have to react to this relatively quickly. Yeah, flying through that sector there. Now he's off again.
It's a new team. Welcome to Advanced Motorsports from the Chicago area. Been around a handful of years, but first time racing at this level. Todd and Austin Yers, the father and son co-owners of that operation. Austin driving, as mentioned, alongside Jonathan Neudorf here this weekend. Exactly what Jonathan's full season plans are a bit up in the air, but that opening stint, impressive stuff and what we've come to expect from Jonathan in the couple of years we've had him in the paddock.
Yeah, he's really, really quick, really bright young man, and tons of talent. Seems like Gonzalez has settled down that resistance to letting that gap get any smaller here. So gap now is about 0.8. So it's kind of a concertina effect around this lap. Well, it was up to about a second plus just a few corners ago in full course yellow.
Wipes away what little lead Gonzalez has been able to build. It also brings Greg Leofouge to the back bumper of Mateus Laced in the Pro-Am class, and Leofouge has been quicker over the past few laps. Everyone bunches up once again with the stranded McLaren on the side of the road, forcing race control to deploy the safety car once again.
Yeah, this is going to give a lot of people inspiration here because there were some gaps there with some fast cars, so suddenly you're going to get that compression of the field and a reset.
What an opening stint for Weston Workman, reigning Toyota GR Cup champion. Let's hear from him now with Amanda.
And Weston, as Ryan and Calvin were talking on the broadcast, just what a season you had last year. The floodgates opened up, and now you have this opportunity in Pirelli GT4. What do you make of your debut in the series?
It's been going really well so far. You know, I want to keep my perfect streak going in the Supra so far this year. Obviously, we had a very, very successful season last year, and I think the name of the game was just being on the podium every single race and having consistent finishes. We can't not finish a race. And the expectation from everyone around me and myself this year is to go for the championship. So that's what we're trying to do. I want to continue my perfect streak in the Supra so far this year, get every pole, every win, and we're doing a great job of that so far. So Tyler just has to do his job now, and I'm sure he will.
One of those jobs is going to be defending on this restart. What can you tell us about this Supra on a launch?
You know, I think Tyler's going to have more to answer that question than I will. I'm still new to the Supra. I'm still learning everything. I'm very confident in his abilities. I think he's the best driver out there, so we just got to perform.
Too early to say championship?
Way too early.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.
But it'll be in the back of his mind, no doubt about it. And that's about as good of an opening stint in this series as you could hope for.
Yeah, really nice job there. Obviously, the Tasker immediately was helped a little bit by our pole sitter having that issue with his tire.
See our fastest lap here, Race Vision powered by AWS. Two names jump out. Kenton Cook, that's a car that's not going to get a great result today with a 30-second time penalty, has the fastest lap of the race. Michael Cooper as well, Black Dog. Remember, he talked about how much work they had to do to get the alignment in something close to the correct window. It seems like they've been able to do it, and he has the 4th best time in this race.
Yeah, and you wonder if they can almost treat it as a test session, dive back in, do a little more tweaking to the car and see if they can find another ounce of speed, because that's what it's all about.
Big change to the format on the weekend, and everybody is still working through exactly what the implications of that are going to be. Here is yours pulling away, or being pulled away, it looks like. I did see a toe strap. So that car will make its way to the pits, and that then hopefully means we are getting closer to the restart. But back to the point about how the grid for race 2 is set. I mean, is there some gamesmanship you do to, if you don't feel like you're going to be able to move forward, or you've got an out-of-class car or something like that in front of you, separating you from the next car in your class? Do you lean back for a lap and then try and push towards the end to try and look for that quick lap in race 1?
Oh, for sure. As we said earlier, if you're in a big pack there and you can't get that fast lap, you feel your car's got some potential. You don't want to lose positions within class, obviously, and cost yourself points to do it. But if there's that opportunity, for sure, get a little gap there in front of your nose and then just hammer down and see if you can really execute a great lap. With the amount of yellow, I mean, these Pirelli tires are amazing how they can maintain their speed throughout a 60-minute race with a couple of lengthy yellows here as well. All of the drivers, you would feel, have pretty good tires to be able to maybe do that as the car gets lighter, as the fuel load gets burned off, and then you've got still some good tires to work with. That could be potentially see some fast laps here at the end.
Bright yellow car, center of the shot, is the leader in the AM class. We talked about Denny Stripling and Judson Holt. Judson did not do the races at Sonoma last year or the race at Coda, the 3-hour race. Picked up starting at Sebring alongside Judson and went on to win one of the 2 races at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But they're back together for a full season, looking for the AM Class Championship. Right now, sitting firmly in control of the race, 11th overall, when their closest competitor is down at 18th overall. Much closer than that, though, in Pro-Am.
Yeah, Greg Leafouge is going to want to get that hometown win for his team, for himself, for his teammate who's based in San Francisco as well. So this is massive. I'm sure they got a lot of family and support here this weekend, and he's going to be right on the tail of Matthias Leist, former IndyCar pilot, behind the wheel of the number 47 Nola Sport Porsche.
As mentioned earlier, Leafouge and Stephen Cameron racing the now customary orange and purple colors of racing to end Alzheimer's. And if you look closely at that car, 83 names of loved ones who suffered from Alzheimer's are on that car. It's a great cause, great charity. They've been raising money and awareness through motorsport for many, many years now, and it's a great partnership they formed with Stephen Cameron Racing across multiple series. Greg was the man on the move prior to that full course yellow, just had done his best lap, so we'll keep an eye on that fight for 3rd and 4th overall, but the lead in Pro-Am as we come around the hairpin with just 10 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock. And we get ready to go green once again. Gonzalez gets a nice jump coming to the restart zone. There's the green flag. The fight is for 2nd overall. Matthias Leist wants to run away and hide, maybe get a car between himself and Leafouge if at all possible. Not able to do so, and here comes Greg to the flank, looking around the outside.
Trying to take advantage. He knows the secrets of this circuit. See if he can find the key to open up that door on that Porsche and get the lead here. This is when Leist is going to be vulnerable. Tell you what a great restart by Tyler Gonzalez. I thought Seldorf was right on his tail, ready to go, and he just got that Toyota in its sweet spot with the torque and just took off there. Gapped the 2nd place man immediately.
Just behind Leafouge. Looked like Pompelli had a bit of a moment at the top of the hill. That's allowed Jimmy Gibre to close in. That is for position within the silver class. Final step of the podium. Gibre running a bit wide.
Yeah.
Here comes another impressive newcomer, Bruno Colombo.
Yeah, you can see Gibre a little bit wide there through the carousel, and so like Colombo will get ever closer to him.
Dropping further back, Macquarie in the white BMW. Behind him, Ryan Yardley, reigning Carrera Cup North America champion, runs 9th overall and just off the podium in Pro-Am. There is star power everywhere you look in this field. Going to be captivating all season long. Under 9 minutes to go, and Matheus Leist under pressure here for the battle for the lead in Pro-Am.
He is, but he's settled down. He's done a really nice job despite Leafuge putting the pressure on there on the climb up the hill and through turn 2.
This is a look from on board with Spencer Pompelli, who's been able to fend off Jimmy Gibray. Now we'll watch the battle as it rages just ahead. Top 2 cars in Pro-Am, just ahead of the 3rd place runner in silver.
See the elevation change here, just immense. When the onboard camera, you're getting a better view than what the driver does. You can actually see the road a little bit better than what the driver does from behind. Oh, Spencer in there really deep. Really pushed the entry there to turn 4, washed out a little bit on him. Arsenal off from that Porsche, try to dig deep. Sits 3rd in class, 5th overall. 2 silver cars ahead of him, running 1-2.
Look at the fastest sector 3 times, thanks to Race Vision powered by AWS. It's a little bit further along in the lap, but it is BMW 1-2, then the Supras 3rd and 4th. Leist, though, 5th quickest through that final sector.
Oh, look at this. This battle goes on with Gibray and Colombo side by side into the brake zone here for turn 7. Macquarie sits there at the outside. He tucks to the inside and takes advantage there of that racing situation developing immediately on his nose.
That is a veteran move from Tyler Macquarie. Saw the door open, needed no second invitation. He charged right on through Bruno Colombo, who has raced this GT4 BMW in the past. He's never done so, though, on slick race tires. That changed here this weekend. Keep an eye on him, though. This is a driver that Paul Sparta is really high on. As Neugebauer goes off through the chicane.
Wow.
That was Kenton Cook putting the pressure on.
Yeah, everyone's putting the pressure on here. Time is running out, just over 6 minutes to go in this race. See if you can pick up some points here on what may have been a frustrating drive and ride so far for some of these drivers here, a little bit deeper in the pack.
Neugebauer falls in line behind Eric Filgaris. That cost him 2 positions on the road. Just behind Filgaris is Clay Williams for LAP Motorsports. He's got company in the form of Ashley Freiberg, driving for Kelly Moss. Welcome back to the Kelly Moss team. It's been a little while since they've been in this paddock, and they're here in a big way. Not just Pirelli GT4 America, but also multiple entries in GT World Challenge.
Yeah, they have an armada here in this paddock this weekend and for the season. Great to see Lonnie Unser here, Johnny Unser's daughter. She's had a ton of success in various disciplines. She and Ashley all really put on a great show this year, I would think.
And then we heard from him off the top, Frankie Muniz, looking for potentially a podium in his Pirelli GT4 America AM-Class debut. Tyler Stone started that Tech Sport Racing Ford Mustang. Frankie said, coming off of a great run at Darlington in the NASCAR Truck Series last weekend, he didn't know he could have that much fun in a race car until he got in this one.
Yeah, he's loving life in GT4 competition. This little battle is not going anywhere. Macquarie's got around Gibray and Colombo there, so a lot more experience behind the wheel of that number 38 Bimmer World car, up to P3 in Pro-Am. Time may be running out to go any further, though.
These are the provisional pole sitters in the respective classes. All the drivers, I believe, were driver 2, and it is the driver 2 best lap times that set the grid for tomorrow's race. Gibray and Colombo, nose to tail into the chicane. And then watching Yardley with Denny Stripling giving chase. Yardley in the bright orange Porsche Cayman, Stripling the leader in AM, just settling into a nice rhythm. Huge gap to the next car in his class. That's now Chris Wilson in the car that Zach Lumsden started, well back in 18th overall.
Yeah, Stripling just wants to ride out these laps here. He's got a major margin between he and Chris Wilson, who's having another great run. Every time Chris Wilson drives, he seems to be on a podium, it seems, if not in the winner's circle. But for Stripling, yeah, he's got a few out-of-class cars around him, just wants a nice clean finish here and bring home the maximum point score to start the season.
Oh, let's a look to the inside, and it came late. Gibre saw it coming. Colombo, very opportunistic, able to make that work through the carousel.
Here comes McAleer.
Yes.
He makes the jump. This is not for class position, just overall. McAleer running in 4th in Pro-Am. Sharing that car with Austin Kreitz. Yardley's the next man up.
Great to have Steven back, not just as the driver, but of course he runs the McCumbee McAleer team that's here racing with their Mustang. And it's not uncommon for Steven to race against his own team. I have to wonder, though, what is that experience like when you see the car that you look after, but it's opposition, it's competition on a weekend like this?
Well, he's handled it really well, just so accomplished, so much experience, so much speed. And he'll do the right thing. He's going to want to go for broke and get the best result he can personally and for his teammate and with the team he's running with, Auto Technique, but at the same time, doesn't want to take out any team car that runs with his own team, which has done a great job over the years in multiple disciplines as well.
He's a 2-time GT4 America class champion, won the GT World Challenge America Championship in the Pro class a handful of years ago in 2023. This is the penultimate lap. Tyler Gonzalez leads Francis Seldorf by 2.5 seconds. Then it's Mateus Lace 3rd, but leading in Pro-Am. Greg Leofouge was charging Cal, but the charge has been stymied somewhat. He stalled out 1 second back of the class leader.
Yeah, he has. Mateus has really done a great job aboard that Nola Sport number 47 there to just get the hammer down and create that nice little buffer. Takes the pressure off, allows you to hit your marks. You're not compromising your lines by defending the inside down into some of these brake zones. And same thing here for Gonzalez. I thought he was vulnerable there for a moment. I was really impressed with Seldorf's drive here today, keeping the heat on that Rafa Racing Team Supra, but Gonzalez just got really into a rhythm, and it seems like the car, I noticed earlier in the run, Western Workman, it didn't seem to come up to speed as quick as the BMWs, but maybe they just set the car up for the longer green flag run here today, and it's paying dividends this late stage of the race.
Certainly seems to be working great for Tyler Gonzalez right now. Indava sponsorship on the Supra from the Rafa Racing stable, and his gap is growing. Back to Francis Seldorf. He'll see the white flag this time around.
Just doing what the boy does. He wins races with an incredible regularity. Just so impressed with what some of these drivers are able to do. Breakthrough, doesn't matter. We talk about the stacked field, the cream still rises to the top.
Last year, Tyler Gonzalez won 2 races in IMSA TCR. He won 3 races here and round to 2nd in the championship. 5 races in MX5 Cup. 1 race in 2 Super Trofeo starts last year. He also did some Trans Am racing. You're right. The guy's a winner.
What a slacker.
Mateus Lace finding something of a career renaissance now in GT4 racing. He was lost in the wilderness after his IndyCar opportunities dried up. Popped back in this paddock a few years ago with Nola Sport, and Michael Oriema went to victory lane here at Sonoma early in the season, and now has become a man in demand by a number of Porsche Cayman teams across multiple series in the U.S.
Half a lap to go for Tyler Gonzalez. Really strong start to the year for the Rafa Racing team as his teammate Weston watches on along with the team. With that beautiful ribbon of asphalt there up through the S's. A little straightaway into that heavy brake zone.
Extends the gap by another 1/10 of a second in Sector 1. Pretty even in Sector 2. 2.5 seconds to the good with just a few corners left to negotiate. It was a great end to the season for the team last year. They won 2 out of the last 3 races, but it wasn't enough to overcome the points deficit they dug early on. No such troubles in 2026. Rafa Racing, Tyler Gonzalez, Weston Workman win the opening race of 2026 in Pirelli GT4 America. Nola Sport on top in Pro-Am. Mateus Lace and the returning Matt Travis take the class win. And in AM, Random Vandals, new additions. Congratulations on the class victory, Denny Stripling, Judson Holt. They get it done in the first race of the season. Weston Workman's used to posing with the number 1 finger up now. He broke through for his first GR Cup win a couple of rounds into the season last year at Sebring, and once he started winning, he just hasn't stopped. You heard him reference it earlier, racing this Supra in multiple series this year. He's been on the pole for every race. He has had the fastest lap in every race. Not sure about this one, but he has won every race in his first year of GT4 racing.
Yeah, and when you're that talented and you have that momentum and the confidence keeps growing, and with the group that he's got around him, led by Kevin Conway and the whole group there at Rafa Racing, and an excellent teammate, it bodes well, and it just builds. It's just snowballing right now for that young man in his career.
Late development in the AM class, an incident involving Chris Wilson, car 413, that on the road finished second in class, as well as the 17, the rigid speed BMW of Lucas Catania, that got dropped down. They were running up in second for a time. They ended up down in 7th in class. That incident, which we have not seen, is under review, and presumably an adjudication will come in here before too much longer. If we get that information, we'll be quick to pass it along to you, but that could change the podium in the AM class. Well, it took a little while to get this one into its rhythm, Calvin, but once we got there, this is what we thought we might see and what we expect to see all season long. Really close, really competitive across 3 classes.
Yeah, absolutely, and some of the teams that on paper looked really strong came through for great results here today. For some others, they had some problems, so they got to dig themselves out a little bit of a hole. And with this new format where that second driver sets the grid for tomorrow with their fast lap and with damaged race cars, that was not easy to do for some of the teams.
No, tough set of circumstances, but it's because the paddock is jam-packed across all the different series here this weekend. Let's take a look now at the provisional race results from the first race of 2026. Workman and Gonzalez for Rafa Racing by 2.5 seconds over Bohm and Seldorf. Then it's the winners in Pro-Am. Travis, who is back. Welcome back to Matt. And Mateus laced car 47 to victory lane. A little further down is where we find a couple of cars that had some issues here today. Solid run for LAP Motorsports up to 15th. Casey Moyer making his debut. Youngsters used to running here in Spec Miatas, but getting his first GT4 start in a Mustang along with Clay Williams. Finishes in the top half of the field. Unser and Freiberg, I think we're going to hear a lot from them as the season goes along. And a few others that had surprisingly quiet days.
Yeah, for sure. Some people to try and reset overnight, see what they can come up with in terms of car setup potentially. And for some, they did get a fast lap in, so they'll have a good starting spot tomorrow to try and rebound a little bit with a stronger result. For others, they've dug a big hole. They're going to need some help maybe with a yellow or two to get to the front tomorrow.
And there will be some changes in the AM class. That incident we referenced earlier has been ruled upon, and it's a drive-through equivalent penalty to Chris Wilson, who had been credited with a second place in AM. That promotes Tyler Stone and Frankie Muniz to second in class, and Laura Hayes and Eddie Colleen will complete the podium for Dome Motorsport. It drops Wilson and Lumsden down to 7th, and it does give one position back to Catania, who was on the receiving end of that contact.
Yeah, that's really good. And Sean Gibbons, nice solid run there, P4.
They've been really happy with their McLaren. It's a different group running that car, Pro Sport Competition out of Indianapolis, taking control of that operation for this season. And it's the team boss, Doug Livingston's birthday today. So happy birthday, Doug.
That's a good way to celebrate with a really strong result, top 5 finish, and for Sam Owen as well, and for Sean. Great to see them back. They had to curtail their activities last year with a little bit of damage to their race car to regroup a little bit, but got excellent support, some great partners, and I think everyone will be really pumped up about today's run.
I imagine so. No one more so, though, than Tyler Gonzalez, who's out of the car. He's got the Pirelli hat on. Very soon we'll have a chance to hear from our various class winners. In fact, why wait any longer? Let's hear from him now as Weston jogs in to join.
And we're going to get a Pirelli hat onto Weston Workman as these guys celebrate. And we didn't want to talk championship too soon, but you guys are going to be the ones that everyone's going to be looking at. Weston, a great opening stint. Watching that back half from Tyler, what was your anxiety like?
I had no anxiety. He's the man right there. You know, as soon as he got in the car, I knew he had a chance to win. I just got to thank Rafa Racing, Toyota Gazoo Racing, everybody who supports me. There's a lot of people behind this. Kevin, Trent, my car chief, Mike, crew chief Jeff. I mean, so many people. This Super was on rails today, so there's so many people to thank. I could go down the list, but we'd be here all day.
Tyler, looked like that Super really came to you late in the game. Why will that be a preview to tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, this Endava Toyota Supra was on rails. I just can't thank Rafa Racing enough for hooking us up with the great setup in that car. And yeah, that late race yellow really kind of worked out in our favor, I think. I think right at that point, it was starting to come back to us, and I think we had the pace, but was able just to kind of break away on that restart and run away from it with there.
Nice job to Tyler. Ryan, I'm going to track down more of our winners down here.
We'll let you get to it, Amanda. Just over the shoulder on the left is Rafael Martinez, the man behind Rafa Racing. And it's amazing what he's built in a short amount of time. They are in so many different paddocks, and they become a powerhouse in a short period.
Well, the key is putting good people together, and I think Kevin Conway being there has got such great leadership and just kind of steers the ship, and it's a big ship, as you said. They got many arms in various forms of motorsports, so a lot of success early. There's Kevin Boehm there. He's happy about his opening stanza there. Switching teams, everything came together relatively late, so really good points for Kevin Boehm. And his new teammate, Francis Seldov, I thought, did an excellent job today. Finished 2.5 seconds back at the checkered flag, but he kept the heat on Gonzalez there for several laps after that final restart.
Don't forget, Kevin Boehm finished second in race 1 here last year, went on to win the championship in dominant fashion, but it was up against Tyler Gonzalez. So the top 2 protagonists in the silver class, it looks like they're squaring off again for another heavyweight fight. That'll be a story throughout the season. In the silver class, let's hear about the Pro-Am class, though, now with Amanda.
And celebrations continue down here for race 1 at Sonoma, and it was a late restart that your co-driver, Matt Travis, was curious of what was going to happen, Mateus, but no problems there. Walk us through that last one.
Yeah, it was tough because I felt like we didn't have a lot of pace at the end. I was struggling a little bit with understeer. Honestly, Matt did a great job. He gave me the car in first place. It was just up to me to maintain that pace and bring our first win here for the season. Very thankful for the Noel Sport guys. They gave us a great car. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, welcome back to the paddock to Matt Travis. And normally these interviews go your direction, so I'm just going to pass the mic to you.
You know, I don't have anything prepared today. Excited to be back. What a joy to be back in the series. Incredible result, exceeded our expectations, especially with the hot weather and how that's sometimes a challenge for our cars. So thrilled to be back. You know, normally it's shake and bake. I'm going to have to learn what bake is in Portuguese, and I'll have that for next time.
Well, there's always tomorrow.
You're darn right. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks.
And I talked to Paul Sparta ahead of this weekend about this pairing right here as they switched over to Random Vandals Racing, already wearing the #1 hats in a brand new season. And Paul Sparta told me these guys are cranking. Did you expect to be cranking this hard so early, Judson?
We certainly had it in our hearts. We wanted to win this race really bad. It's great to come out first place in the season and start a season off right. So yeah, we certainly are excited.
This is awesome. This is a nice addition. Welcome to the team, guys. You guys are well prepared. Denny, walk us through the back half of that race. And I know a lot of these lap times are going to count for qualifying to tomorrow. Was that in the back of your mind?
It was. We were on the radio talking about it. So the beginning of the race, you never like to see those incidents kind of happen, but I mean, we were the beneficiaries of it. I'd rather be the beneficiary than caught up in it. I feel really bad. I already talked to the folks that were involved. We weren't involved, but we benefited. We benefited from it. Judd brought it home nice and clean. I got in the car and I was in Pro-Am Mortal Kombat. I mean, it was just like rubber here and fenders there. It was dings and dongs. But we were solid. We knew where we were positionally, and we were on pole. I had the fastest lap of the AMs, and we were good to go. And I said, we're just going to bring this home on station, let the Pro-Am guys around me fight it out. That's what we did. Car was really good. Vandals gave us a solid car today. I think we might be a little better tomorrow. So if we're winning races while still improving, I like our chances.
Uh-oh, shots fired.
That is a message sent to the rest of the class if they feel like they've got some headroom to grow into, considering that was pretty dominant in the AM class. They had 7 overall positions, I think, to the next car in class even before the penalty that hit the erstwhile second place car.
Yeah, just really a solid run by both of those drivers getting the job done, and I think at the end there it was just keep it clean, just bring it home. He had that fast lap in the bag, so just ticking all of the boxes and executing.
Second career wins for both Judson Holt and Denny Stripling. They broke through for their first in race 1 of the Indianapolis doubleheader at the tail end of the year last year. So they've now won 2 out of the last 3 in the series if you go back to last season. And for Holt, had a really good run through the 2 races here last year, finished 2nd in the first one, 4th in the second. So this has been a good track for him historically. But we mentioned the penalty in the AM class. This now will reflect those changes. So again, Judson Holt, Denny Stripling, winners in AM, but down in 19th overall, 2nd in AM, promoted to that spot. Tech Sport Racing's Tyler Stone and Frankie Muniz. Amanda has caught up with Tyler and Frankie. Let's hear from them after a strong 2nd place run.
Long dream for you, a long time coming. Take in the moment.
Being emotional because, you know, like, I've wanted this for so long, you know what I mean? I won the Pro Celebrity race, but in my head that doesn't really count, you know what I mean?
Apologies for that. A few technical issues down there, but you didn't have to hear Frankie to see how happy he was. That was writ plain on his face.
Yeah, just ecstatic. So great result for him and for Tyler Stone and that new partnership there at Tech Sports. So hats off to the whole group, and took advantage of some chaos a little bit in that race. And I think as the season progresses, we'll see who's really got it on a regular basis. But I think they're going to be knocking on the door every single weekend, it seems, with that group.
Well, that's certainly their intention. We heard from Frankie in the pre-race. He said, you know, we turned up, we thought, hey, this is going to be a learning weekend, but found out they were on the pace pretty quickly, and all of a sudden the expectation level changes.
It does. It's like me going to the driving range and hitting a couple straight and think, okay, I can go out and break 80 tomorrow, and then for me, unfortunately, reality kicks back in.
It kicks in for me as soon as I show up. Never had that feeling, so at least I'm never disappointed. I know exactly how badly it's going to go from the very beginning of it. Look, this season from here, we've got one more race, of course, tomorrow, but then a complete format change for what's to come. The next race at Circuit of the Americas, that's the 3-hour race that's run into the darkness. That's been a real hit within the paddock and changes up the cadence of a weekend even more.
It does, and it can be a real differentiator in the season standings, because with the double points being awarded, if you have problems at that one, that can dig a huge hole and will take you a couple of rounds to make it back up at least. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there, and certainly some strategy play as well, which this team's not typically used to.
Well, we've got a spare microphone, and it's fired up. So, Amanda, let's try this again. Take 2.
An emotional moment for Frankie Muniz, who makes his debut in Pirelli GT4, but this is a lifelong dream for you. What's the feeling that's rushing through you?
You know, I've been racing for 22 years. I've wanted to feel this. This is why I race, right? Like, you want to get on the podium. You want to do a good job for your team. Tech Sport Racing, my teammate here, Tyler Stone, Ford Racing, for giving me the opportunity to continue this dream at 40 years old. I'm so grateful, and my first time ever in a GT4 car was 2 days ago. You know what I mean? I've never been to Sonoma, so I really didn't know what to expect. I was coming in thinking like, hey, this is going to be a good test for the team, test for me, see where we stack up. But now we're leaving here going to go like, oh no, we're fighting for this championship 100%. Like, it feels really good, and I'm so excited for what the future has to hold.
Well, on his Wikipedia, it does say American actor and professional racing driver, and you showed that here today. And Tyler, I know this is just of a big moment for you to come together as a team to race with Ford. You said that you guys adapted to this car almost immediately. What's the ceiling for you guys?
I'm not sure there is a ceiling right now, because of jumping in the car. Literally, we started the car on Wednesday for the first time, and not being able to test it, and then roll right in, and we get an echo. Rolling right in and being able to compete at this level, it's incredible. So I'm really excited about what the future holds for both Frankie and I and Tech Sport, and being a partner with Ford Racing. I mean, they've given us both a great opportunity here, and you know, we're really excited and hope we represent the brand well. So,
thank you.
Really good result. Tyler was on the podium here last year in the second race of the doubleheader, but this pairing, boy, everybody within the Tech Sport camp is really excited about what's still to come. A great way to get their 2026 campaign underway, and very soon they will be celebrating up on the podium here at Sonoma Raceway. Race number 1 of the 2026 season started at Sonoma Raceway with lots of anticipation. 31 cars took the green flag, and it was Weston Workman from the pole position leading the way. Toyota Supra out in front, but on the opening green flag lap, contact further back in the pack. Sam Craven made contact with one of the Dome Racing cars, contact as well with the ACI BMW of the brothers Garcia. Other cars picking up some damage in that. That was one of the Viverworld cars losing a door. That door was smashed into pieces and necessitated a yellow flag. But once the cleanup was complete, Weston Workman was able to pull out a bit of an advantage. Good battles further back. In fact, one of the early movers was Jonathan Newdorf, who had to start out back in class, but charged his way inside the top 5 before the pit stops midway through the race. After the first round of stops, Tyler Gonzalez climbed aboard the Supra that Weston Workman started, and their clean pit work and excellent execution on track allowed them to sweep through to the lead once the pit stops cycled through. Problems for the Advanced Motorsports McLaren that brought out the safety car for the final time. Then once the race resumed with about 15 minutes to go, it was up to Tyler Gonzalez to hold on. Behind him, a snarling pack of GT4 cars battling for position. Werner Neugebauer off wide through the chicane. Bruno Colombo fighting with Jimmy Gibre. But at the front of the field, it was Rafa Racing taking the first win of the season with drivers Weston Workman and Tyler Gonzalez. Podium celebrations underway. The AM class will celebrate first. Judson Holt, Denny Stripling, second career wins for the pair of them. Tech Sport, their first GT4 race with the Mustang. They end up on a class podium. And Dome Motorsport with a lineup that only came together in the 11th hour. Laura Hayes and Eddie Killeen teaming up to take home third place.
Yeah, 6 really happy drivers. They all had excellent runs to start their season campaign, and suddenly thoughts of championship, even though it's round 1, is immediately on everyone's minds.
Penalty certainly changed the order on the podium, but we saw quite a bit out of Flying Lizard. Their pace was good. Unfortunately, the penalty dropped Chris Wilson and Zach Lumsden further down, but nevertheless, that looks like a pairing to contend with.
Yeah, and with a great group, Flying Lizard, they have such great engineers. They're total pro team. So they'll bounce back tomorrow, see what they can do, and come out of Sonoma, which once was their home circuit anyway, with more points than they scored today.
In the Pro-Am class, NOLA Sport announces the return of Matt Travis in a big way. Matt's such a big personality. That was about as subdued an interview as I can remember from Matt.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't expecting it. You know, I mean, maybe he didn't think he was going to speak to Amanda at the end of this one, but I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll have something in his hip pocket for tomorrow if he's on the podium again.
He's been picking and choosing the racing that he's done over the past couple of years. As we look here at the way things shake up in the AM class, leaving the first race of the season. Stripling and Holt ahead of Muniz and Stone, Killeen and Hayes, the top 3. Talked a little bit about what OGH Motorsports with Sam Owen and Sean Gibbons did. They've been on the pace all weekend long. And then ACI Motorsports, haven't talked too much about Muzaffar Ghafarov and Ross Poole. They made their debut at the tail end of the season last year, but a top 5 finish to get things started. Plus, Lucas and Joe Catania back for another round. They've run races before. They've run at the front before, and if not for the contact that ultimately Wilson was penalized for, they would have had a podium run today.
Yeah, love that team. As Bill Aublin said, they're a small team, but they do a lot, and they got a lot of talent there behind the wheel with either of the drivers competing.
Now the Pro-Am classification after race number 1. Laced and Travis, Leafouge and Parashon. Great debut from Jonathan Parashon. Not thinking he's going to do the full season. He might change his mind after a result like that. And then Petramalo and Macquarie. Another good debut there for Michael Petramalo. Macquarie had a good drive to get them up onto the Pro-Am podium. Meanwhile, in the silver class, it was all about Gonzalez and Workman. They take the victory in the first race of the season. Driver he battled, Tyler Gonzalez that is, last year. Kevin Boehm, reigning champion with a good strong run. His new team and teammate in second. Mars and Pompelli completing the podium. Race number 1 for Pirelli GT4 America.